You ready, Nafis? حياك الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. It's well known that the Messenger of Allah والسلام, said in the authentic Hadith, لا صلاة لمن لم يقرأ بفاتحة الكتاب. If you don't recite Surah Fatiha, you have no prayer. And we all know that from Surah Al-Fatiha is what Allah Azza wa Jal tells us to say, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم, guide us to the straight path. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم, the path of those whom you've blessed, those who've earned your grace. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين, and do not guide us to the path. And that's a deep concept in itself, because if Allah guides you to the path of those whom He has blessed and bestowed His grace, what need do you ask for anything else? If you're guided, you're guided. But Allah, He tells us to say, and not the path of those غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. And listen carefully to the Quranic Arabic. It says, do not guide us to the path al-maghdubi alayhim, those whom upon there is anger. Those whom upon there is anger. And Allah does not say those who I've become angry with, even though that is the reality. Allah never attributed the anger to Himself, but the blessing, an'amta, those whom you have blessed, He clearly mentioned it and attributed it to Himself. You understand this? But the anger, it doesn't say ghadibta alayhim, those whom you've become angry with, but it says al-maghdubi alayhim, those upon whom there is anger. You understand this? And Allah Azza wa Jalla is He who did both. He was happy with them, He blessed them, He was displeased with them, and He cursed them. Both of those are actions of Allah Azza wa Jalla. But Allah only attributed the in'am. He only attributed the ni'mah to Himself. And the ghadab He did not attribute to Himself. Let alone wala daleen, those who are astray. It doesn't say those whom you've sent astray, those whom you've called to be astray. Alright? And obviously Surah Al-Fatiha, its virtues, its meaning, its tafsir, that's a very, very, very long discussion. We've done many classes on that before. What I want to talk about, and I want to select one part from Surah Al-Fatiha, and that is the issue in which Allah Azza wa Jalla says, غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِينَ, not those who have earned anger, nor those who have become astray. And the question will be for Abdul Qawi, why does Allah Azza wa Jal mention al-maghdubi alayhim first? Why are they mentioned before the dalun, those who are astray? Or in simple terms, the Jews. Why are they mentioned before the Nasara? What is the reason? Because they had the truth and they changed the words. The Christians never had the truth. The followers of Isa, the people of Isa, they never had the haqq. They had it too, but that's an interesting question. Put that on pause, Abdul Qawi. Islam, why are they called that? Are the Jews not dalun? Are they not astray?
Yes.
But
they know the haqq. They have ilm.
But are they still astray?
Ayo.
So why are they giving that description and not another? You have to think about this. You've been Muslim how long now? How many times you say this in your salah on a daily basis? Why does Allah call them al-maghdub alayhim? And they're clearly dalun as well. Have the Christians who changed the teachings of Isa, are they not maghdub alayhim? Has Allah not become angry with them?
Yes.
Yes or no? Of course He has.
Yes.
Why are they called dalin? Just like that simmer. Back to Abdul Qawi. What's the answer? Why does Allah mention them first? What's the balagha? What's the Quranic eloquence behind this? Come back to you, Brother Alameen. I'm gonna get to him. I'm gonna get to him.
He's trying to answer that question.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to him. I'm gonna get to you, inshallah. It's coming. Don't worry, it's coming. تفضل. The Yahud were given so many signs over and over again, and Allah had pardoned them continuously. طيب. Maybe. تفضل يا أخي. Because of the arrogance of the Yahud, there's no hope for them to come back to the Sirat al-Mustaqim. And perhaps the Nasara who are astray, who don't have that arrogance, maybe they'll come back to the Sirat al-Mustaqim. Jazakallah khairan. Perhaps. But that's still not it. There's many more things. Break the covenant. Maybe. They broke the covenant. They went against the promise that they made. Perhaps. Anybody else? Khalid. They killed their messengers. طيب. Assalamu alaikum. Nafis.
They run Allah's wrath.
طيب. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he says, وأما المسألة الثالثة عشرة وهو تقديم المغضوب عليهم على الضالين فلوجوه عديدة. Ibn al-Qayyim, he mentions several different issues that pertain to Surah Al-Fatiha, like no other scholar in Islam, period. Hands down. His style in general, let alone Surah Al-Fatiha, there's no one that broke it down and dissected it like Ibn al-Qayyim. Stop looking for anyone that did a more thorough, intense job. He says the 14th or the 13th issue, this is 13th mas'ala now. Why does Allah Azza wa Jal mention them first? He says there are several reasons why they are mentioned first. Number one, أحدها أنهم متقدمون عليهم بالزمان. First and foremost is the Jews came before the Christians, historically. That's a simple answer. No one felt that all of you failed to mention is that they came first. So, Allah guide us to this path, and not of the path of A nor B. A comes before B. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. The Jews came what?
First.
The Old Testament and the... That was a simple answer that you guys missed out on. Clear on this or not? And that's obvious. Number two, he says, الثاني أنهم كانوا هم الذين يلون النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من أهل الكتابين فإنهم كانوا جيرانه في المدينة والنصارى كانت ديارهم نائية عنه ولهذا تجد خطاب اليهود والكلام معهم في القرآن أكثر من خطاب النصارى كما في سورة البقرة والمائدة وآل عمران وغيرها من السور. The second reason is that the Jews were closer to the Prophet ﷺ. Not in time, but in space or location. They were his neighbors in Medina. The Christians in most cases were in Eastern Europe, parts of Syria, Rome, Byzantine. Things like this. The Jews were what? They were right there in his backyard. So it only made sense for Allah to mention them first. He says, and for this reason, you find Allah speaking to the Jews in the Quran much more than the Christians. And the address coming to them more directly, such as in Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah talks about Bani Israel. He ends talking about the Ahlul Kitab, Musa, Dawood, etc. over and over and over again. And also Surah Al-Imran and Surah Al-Ma'idah. Allah, he addresses specifically, he aggressively speaks and comes and talks about the Jews. And comes directly at them. The covenant, so on and so forth. Now I'm killing the messengers, as you guys mentioned. Number three. He says, أن اليهود أغلظ كفرا من النصارى ولهذا كان الغضب أخص بهم واللعنة والعقوبة فإن كفرهم عن عناد وبغي كما تقدم فالتحذير من سبيلهم والبعد منها أحق وهم وأهم بالتقديم وليس عقوبة من جهل كعقوبة من علم وعاند. He says the third reason why they came first, why they were mentioned first, similar to what your brothers have mentioned, similar, but much more finely tuned, is that their kufr was far uglier. The kufr was worse. It was more severe. It was thicker. It was thicker. And that is because, or this is the reason why anger is more specifically mentioned concerning them than the Nasara. But in reality, the Nasara are maghdubi alayhim as well. And the Jews are also dalun as well. They're astray. Everyone understand this? But if I had to pick something about you, I said he's a strong brother. And he's a learned brother. This is my scholar and this is my bodyguard. The brother who has muscles, it doesn't mean that he has no mind and no intelligence. He's smart too. But that's not his top characteristic. His top characteristic, his prime feature is physical strength. Physical prowess. And this brother's top or prime characteristic is his mind. And he can defend himself. He can fight. He's a fighter. He has courage too. But he's what? He's known for his smarts and for his brain. Everyone understand this? But it doesn't mean that either of the two don't have them. Like many people mistakenly stereotype athletes. Many athletes have education. Many of them, they study. You talk to them, they're very intelligent people. They're very intelligent people. But they're better at sports. Or they just chose to play sports. Or vice versa. Someone who reads and studies and writes books, it doesn't mean that he has no type of agility, he can't move around. Even though oftentimes that is the case. Oftentimes. Everyone understand this? So he says that the anger was more, it was closer to them. Now, another Quranic principle is the concept of which is worse, curse or anger. Let alone balala, misguidance. If you read Surah An-Nur, alright, when we talk about the issue of a man accusing his wife of being promiscuous or infidelity or etc., the mula'ana, that's not my child, she slept with someone, I don't have the witnesses, they have to swear. And what does Allah Azza wa Jalla say about the man? And what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about the woman? And what is mentioned concerning the woman? أَنَّ غَضَبَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهَا, that the anger of Allah is upon her. And it's also mentioned la'natullahi, the curse of Allah upon him. So the anger is always what? Worse. Anger is always worse. Moving forward, he says because so the Yahud here, he says their top characteristics or their trait was anger and curse and punishment. And that's because they knew the truth. Even though the Nasara now, and even back then, knew the truth too, but not at the level and the extent of the Yahud. They were known for scholars. They were known for prophets and messengers. They were known for scriptures. And the Nasara were more bent towards just the love of God and the emotional worship and devotion and following Christ and Messiah, so on and so forth, without the detailed knowledge like the what? Like the Yahud. Which is also a reason behind their arrogance and their conceit, even to this day. Even to this day. And even in worldly things as well. Everyone understand this? If you look at their contributions to many, many aspects of life, it's intimidating to others. This inventor, this writer, this person, that one. There's no question about that. Alright? At one point in time, they were a chosen people. So he says here, it says they were obstinate. They were rebellious. They were stubborn. They were thick-headed. He says, so beware of following their path. Beware of following their path. Alright? And they deserved it more than the Christians. And they came first before the what? Before the Christians because of that. Those who are ignorant and do the wrong thing are not like those who know and do the wrong thing. That's a tremendous principle here. If you know that which is right and you do the wrong, you're not like someone who just never had a chance. I never knew any better. I never knew any better. And this is why knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. And this is why you have two things that are needed in any successful community. Knowledge and then awareness. Knowledge is one thing. Everyone knows that it's bad to litter. Everyone knows it's bad to do this, it's bad to do that, but being aware of it, being reminded of it. Everyone understand this? So it's very important in the community for knowledge to be there and awareness to be there. And this is the institution of the Friday khutbah. The Friday khutbah is supposed to be a perfect blend. Not too much of this, too little, a perfect blend between teaching and reminding. Awareness and instruction. The Friday khutbah is not supposed to be a lecture in which everything is all educational and teaching and giving too much facts and too much information. Nor is the Friday khutbah to be something in which everyone knows about everything and it's redundant and over again. But it's supposed to be a mixture. Teach them and make them aware. remind them of what they already know, and teach them what they don't know about yet, or give them a deeper depth, like Surah Fatiha. Are you understand this? Moving forward, he says, وَالرَّابِعُ وَهُوَ أَحْسَنُهَا أنه تقدم ذكر المنعم عليهم والغضب ضد الإنعام والسورة هي السبع المثاني التي يذكر فيها الشيء ومقابله. Ibn Qayyim says the fourth point, and he says, and this is the best of all answers. If you think the first three answers were good, he says this is the best one. This is the best answer. The fourth reason is that Allah Azza wa Jal, He mentioned صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم, the path of those whom you have blessed, the path of those whom you have given your ni'mah. Alright? And after that comes blessing, comes curse, comes anger. And Surah Al-Fatiha is called As-Sab'u al-Mathani, the 7 similar verses, the 7 repeated verses which are parallel. From the meanings of As-Sab'u al-Mathani is that something is mentioned and its opposite is mentioned. It's pair, it's equal. So Allah Azza wa Jal, He mentions blessing. It is only appropriate to directly mention after that what? The opposite of that blessing, which is anger and wrath. Everyone understand this? And then a byproduct of that will be وَلَضَّالِينَ, afterwards. Everyone understand this? Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala then says, فَذِكْرُ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ مَا الْمُنْعَمِ عَلَيْهِمْ فِيهِ مِنَ الْإِزْدِوَاجِ وَالْمُقَابَلَةِ مَا لَيْسَ فِي تَقْدِيمِ الضَّالِينَ. He says, so Allah Azza wa Jal mentioning the believers and their path, and then mentioning the Yahud, those who were blessed by Allah, and those who earned Allah's anger, He says it makes perfect sense. It's in perfect harmony. And it's only more beautiful for that to come first before وَلَضَّالِينَ, before those who went astray. Everyone understand this? The opposites, then وَلَضَّالِينَ. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala then says, فَقَوْلُكَ النَّاسُ مُنْعَمُ عَلَيْهِ وَمَغْضُوبٌ عَلَيْهِ فَكُلْ مِنَ الْمُنْعَمِ عَلَيْهِمْ أَحْسَنُ مِنْ قَوْلِكَ مُنْعَمٌ عَلَيْهِ وَضَالٌ. He says, if a person said that the people are either blessed by Allah or Allah is angry with them, so be with those whom Allah has blessed. That's better than you saying those who are blessed and those who are astray. Because astray is not necessarily the opposite of what? Blessing. You have 2 children or 4 children. You say to two of them, I'm pleased with you. I'm angry with you. You understand this? There's a huge difference. I'm pleased with you two are disobedient. It's not perfect match. You understand this? You make me happy, you make me sad, or angry, or upset. Everyone understand this? And this is a small sample with the translation of the depth of the eloquence of the Quran al-Kareem. Everyone understand this? With the translation of the depths of the eloquence of the Quran al-Kareem. Khairan, inshallah ta'ala. Tayyib, so that's all we're going to mention with regards to that tonight. I'm going to leave some time for the questions. Bidhnillahi ta'ala. Allah knows best. May I ask Him to guide us to the path of those whom He has blessed, those who have earned Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy and blessing, and to protect us from the path of those who have earned His anger and His wrath, and those who have subsequently become astray. Ameen. Jazakumullahu khairan.